Spain and Italy will be the main beneficiaries of the EU's construction fund. How can you invest well? The news from Southern Europe is oppressive. Empty beaches in Italy, new travel warnings for Spain. But one thing can hardly be heard: complaints about the Germans. The perception of Europe and Germany in the crisis has changed for the moment in Italy, says Elena Caletti, professor of finance at Bocconi University in Milan. Accusations of guilt no longer matter. Antonio Roldan, head of the business-related think tank Esade Ekpol, reports a similar reaction in Spain. Spain is not alone. Europe is there for us. That is how we understood Merkel's message. The 750 billion euros for the EU reconstruction fund decided at the EU summit several weeks ago are a considerable sum. It is now up to Spain to deal with it in a politically responsible manner, said Roldan. If the parliaments of the EU member states and the European Parliament approve in autumn, the billions in aid should be able to be applied for in Brussels from January, and after assessment by the EU Commission and approval by the EU Council will flow to the recipient countries. As the EU countries most affected by the corona pandemic, Italy and Spain would be the largest recipients of the billions in aid. But what do they really get out of it? Spain's National Statistics Office reported last week that gross domestic product, the GDP, fell by 18.5% in the spring compared to the previous quarter, much more than expected. For 2020, the EU Commission estimates the decline in Spain to be 10.9%. According to calculations by the ING Bank, the country can only expect a growth effect of 3.5% of its GDP in 2021 and 2022. The EU reconstruction plan is not a paper tiger, but it will not decide on growth or recession, concludes ING analyst Bert Colijn from the Netherlands. Why bother launching a recovery plan if it can't avert the recession? The governments in Rome and Madrid are nevertheless optimistic that the turnaround back to growth will be achieved with the help of the EU billions. Italy's Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte praised the fund as an opportunity for a fresh start that obliged his government to change the face of the country. According to the government, Italy would get 28% of the total amount, 209 billion euros as a whole sum, 81 billion as grants and 127 billion as loans. Spain would receive 140 billion euros, including 72.7 billion euros in grants, and that would be 11.2% of Spain's GDP in 2019. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez said, "I hope this historic European decision serves as an example and incentive and forces us all to look in the mirror." A self-critical undertone could not be ignored in either of them, because regardless of the amount of the fund, it depends on whether the new funds are spent sensibly. In 2017, a European Parliament report on corruption in the EU showed that the average cost of building high-speed rail lines in Italy is 61 million per kilometer, compared to the 10 million per kilometer in France and Spain. Italy's opaque administration, a weak judiciary, and the widespread clientele economy hamper economic activity. Italy ranks fifth from bottom in the EU in the latest World Bank report on barriers to business activity. Does it make any sense to invest the money before there are reforms? Absolutely, says economic professor Gianfranco Viesti from the University of Bari in southern Italy. For many years he has analyzed the consequences of EU aid, particularly for the structurally weak southern Italy. His diagnosis? Projects and structural reforms must go hand in hand. This has not happened in the past, especially in the education sector. The EU has invested large sums in projects that complement normal school operations, but neither improve teaching nor infrastructure. Economist Elena Caletti, herself the mother of a high school student, says, "Our school is the best in Milan. On the walls were posters for EU projects, funded research trips and seminars. But there was no money for the renovation of the building or for the old furniture replace. With reconstruction funds, things should be different." Viesti says, "Today we know how to set up projects that change the structure. There are other hurdles in Spain. There, the central administration in Madrid is considered reliable and effective even by skeptics in the EU Commission. But the economic slump is even more dramatic than in Italy." Economist Roldan from the business think tank Ekpol says the number of unemployed in Spain has already risen by 1 million. The dropout rate is twice as high as the EU average. We must therefore better qualify teachers and a far-reaching program create for early school leavers. He doubts whether the reconstruction fund alone is enough, because the money will flow at most until 2026, probably not long enough for these educational measures to have any effect. The Austrian economist Thomas Wieser headed the Central Working Group of EU finance ministers in Brussels until 2018. They have planned the fund in detail and will review the applications. Wieser is optimistic. There is now a real understanding on all sides, especially in Italy and Spain, that the projects must be implemented better than in the past. Italy would be well advised to put some of the funds into the modernization of the public administration, judicial reforms and the expansion of the rail network, said Wieser. For example, he advises the Spanish to invest in apprenticeships. Countries, including Italy and Spain, are already sending unofficial project drafts to the Commission for review, says Wieser. Then the Commission says, far too imprecise. But we will agree by Christmas and we can start in January. The federal government of Germany also wants to spread this verve. We are giving full throttle to the implementation of the fund projects and are also working through the summer break in Brussels, says Jörg Kukis, State Secretary for European Policy in the Berlin Ministry of Finance and one of the architects of the Reconstruction Fund. German involvement is seen in Rome and Madrid, said Kukis. In the end, it is not just governments that have to play their part, but also companies. A few weeks ago, there were positive signs that this was happening. Industrial production in Spain and Italy had increased faster than expected. And if you now want to know more about European politics, YouTube has chosen another of my videos right here for you in the end screen, right next to your chance to subscribe to my channel, which I of course hope you already did. I'll see you in my next video. Click and enjoy. Viel Spaß!